Hello, everyone. So today we've got Tara Dean on the show, and we are going to go through an executive order that's very, very important because it's happening actually from today, February the 1st, 2021. Now, the executive order is 13848, imposing certain sanctions in the event of foreign interference in a United States election. Now, just before we begin, guys, I would like you to subscribe to my BitChute channel, to my YouTube channel, click on the notification button so you can get all the latest updates immediately, and also leave your emails to the jasaraclub.com. The links are below in the description. So, Tara, do you want to take us through the executive order and we'll start going, with section 1, if you like?
Okay, hi, Nick. Okay, so what I've tried to do is condense this as much as I can because there's a lot of legalese and terminology in there, which can be quite confusing. So I'm trying to put it in layman's terms for everybody so they can understand what's going on within each section. So we start off with section A, which is an important timeline. So this timeline is a total timeline, from what I understand, of 120 days. And it's broken up into 3 trimesters. So you've got a 45-day period from the first day of the conclusion of the elections, which is November the 3rd. Then you've got another 45 days. Mm-hmm. And then you've got a 30-day period, which is where we are today, which is February the 1st. So I'll go through the timelines in the sections. So section 1A, it says within 45 days of the conclusion of the election, the DNI, in consultation with heads of any other appropriate agency, must conduct assessment of all information indicating foreign interference into the US elections. The report shall identify to the maximum extent the nature of the interference and the methods employed to execute it. The DNI shall deliver this assessment and appropriate supporting information to the President, Donald Trump at the time, Secretary of State, which was Mike Pompeo, the Secretary of Treasury, Steve Mnuchin, the Secretary of Defense, Mark Esper, the Attorney General, which was Bill Barr, and the Secretary of Homeland Security, which was Peter Gaynor. So that's the first section. And that is from 45 days from November the 3rd, which takes us to December the 18th from my calculations. So in that period, they were collecting all the information. That was their role, to collect all the information and data that would indicate the foreign interference of the US election.
So does that mean that they were, putting together the framework, ready to execute to the president?
Yeah, they were compiling all the evidence, basically. That was the investigative time period.
Right.
So then we go on to section 1B. It says within 45 days of receiving the assessment and information described in section 1A, Bill Barr, Peter Gaynor, in consultation with the heads of any appropriate agency, shall deliver this to the President, Mike Pompeo, Steve Mnuchin, and Mark Esper, a report evaluating the foreign interference that targeted the election and the infrastructure of the US elections. The report shall also contain recommendations and remedial action to be taken by the US government other than the sanctions described in Section 2 and Section 3 of this order. Heads of all relevant agencies must transmit all information relevant to the execution of the DNI's duties pursuant to this order. If any information emerges after the submission of the report, mandated by Section 1A, then this can be added in consultation with the heads of relevant agencies. Bill Barr and Peter Gaynor shall amend the report as required. No later than 30 days of this order, Mike Pompeo, Steve Mnuchin, Bill Barr, Peter Gaynor, and the DNI shall develop a framework for the process in which the sanctions pursuant to this order will be carried out. So there's your 120-day time period. So the first 45 days goes from November the 3rd to December the 18th. The second 45 days go from December the 18th to February the 1st. And now that brings us to February the 1st, which is the time period in which they have to put the framework together to issue these sanctions.
So you're saying that it could be starting today?
Well, it says no later than 30 days of this order, they will need to develop a framework for the process in which the sanctions in pursuant to this order will be carried out.
Right. Okay.
So this is the time period that they're putting their framework together.
Right. So what do you understand that may happen after today onwards?
Well, that's covered in section 2 because it's involved in what sanctions are going to be laid in place. So should we go into that?
Absolutely. Thank you.
Okay, so section 2 covers the sanctions. It says all property and interests in property that are in the US or that come within the control of the US will be blocked and may not be transferred, paid, exported, or withdrawn. This applies to anyone who has directly or indirectly engaged in, sponsored, concealed, or have been complicit in the foreign interference. This also includes those who have materially assisted, sponsored, provided financial, material, or technological assistance, or any goods or services to support the activity of foreign interference. So this is a really good section because it covers such a vast area. It's not just covering those who have been directly involved in the interference of the elections. It covers, so when it says about materially assisted, we're talking about the fake ballot papers that were delivered from China. The companies that were used to take the ballots and shred them. There's so many aspects. There's so many people that are covered under these sanctions. If you've taken part indirectly or directly, you're going to be prohibited under these sanctions.
Or including the Dominion machines as well, I suspect.
Yeah, everything. It covers everything. So whether it's financially, if you've sponsored any business or any activity, anything you provide materially or technologically, or any goods or services.
So, Tara, so
Yeah.
you're saying that even though, you know, a member of the cabal have their assets freezed, have their bank accounts freezed, have no finances, naturally they would be asking, a family member or somebody completely out of the cabal who they're related to that can help them. And even those that do help them who have absolutely nothing to do with this, indirectly or directly, then their assets will also be frozen as well.
Yeah, so that's covered in section 4.
Right.
So that's further down. So we've got section 3, which says, following the transmission of the assessment and the report pursuant to this order, Steve Mnuchin will assess the report and in consultation with Pompeo and Bill Barr, Peter Gaynor will impose all appropriate sanctions listed in this order. They will also liaise with the president to see if any additional sanctions should be imposed. Then it goes on to those who might try to help these people that have been sanctioned. It says in section 4, prohibits the making of contributions or provision of funds, goods or services to or for the benefit of any person whose property and interests in property are blocked pursuant to this order. So basically, once these people have been sanctioned and their assets, like you said, their assets are seized, finances frozen, anybody who tries to help them out, whether they're involved in the election fraud or not, will also be prohibited under this order. So it's like these people have got nowhere to run and nowhere to hide, and nobody can help them out unless they want to be punished under this executive order also.
Or unless, of course, they decide, I don't want to get involved. Unless they decide they don't want to get involved at all and help any of the individuals of the cabal.
Well, they're best to avoid it at all costs.
Absolutely.
Then it goes into further sanctions further down, where it talks about banning on travel and trade as well. Mm-hmm. So if I can find that section. In section 7, it talks about any transaction that evades or avoided or has the purpose of evading or avoiding or causing violation or attempts to violate the prohibitions of this order are prohibited. Also, any conspiracy to avoid the prohibitions are prohibited. So they can't even conspire and talk about this because they will be sanctioned under this executive order. Then it goes in section 8, it talks about the definitions. So when we're talking about person, it means any individual or entity. When we talk about entity, it means any partnership, association, trust, joint venture, corporation, group, subgroup, or other organization. I mean, this executive order is really thorough. They're leaving no stone unturned here, making sure they're covering every angle. The term United States person means any United States citizen, permanent resident, alien entity, organized under United States or any jurisdiction within the United States. This includes foreign branches or any foreign person in the United States also. And then there's further definitions that people can look at with regards to the infrastructure, the United States election, foreign interference, foreign government, covert, and state. Section 9. It says, for those persons whose property and interests in property are blocked pursuant to this order, who might have a constitutional presence, I find that because of their ability to transfer funds or other assets instantaneously, prior such notice such persons of measures to be taken pursuant to this order would render those measures ineffectual. I therefore determine for these measures to be effective in addressing the national emergency declared in this order, there need to be no prior notice of a listing or determination pursuant to this order. So there's going to be no forewarning. This is going to happen without any official announcement. And I'm sure maybe some of these things have been happening behind the scenes already.
Absolutely.
Section 10, nothing in this order shall prohibit transactions for the conduct of the official business of the United States government by employees, grantees, or contractors thereof. All agencies of the United States government are hereby directed to take all appropriate measures within their authority to carry out the provisions of this order. So everybody is responsible to make sure they carry out these prohibitions. And this includes the Secretary of Defense. He's involved in this, so that would involve the military as well.
Wow.
The recurring reports and the final reports will be submitted to Congress on national emergency declared in this order. And you will also see in this order, it's linked to national emergency executive orders as well. So it's not just this executive order that is binding.
There are others.
So lots going on there. Yeah.
Wow, that's amazing. So the most important part of this, I think, is the actions and the restrictions of freezing the assets of the cabal, and the limitations they have in attempted to conspire against this or to talk about it, like you said, or any way out. There's no way out.
Yeah.
So definitely they are going, they're coming down according to this executive order, and it's happening right now. Now, you sent me something, Tara, this morning, and you woke me up about 7 o'clock in the morning, and it was so interesting. What did you send me? Was that anything in conjunction to do with what we was reading in the executive order today?
Well, if you have a look at in Myanmar, they have started making arrests on their government and their officials due to election fraud in their country. The military TV has announced that their TV is going to be under control by the military for a year. Internet outages have already happened, and the banks have all closed. So all the national banks in Myanmar have closed. The internet outages have happened. Arrests have been made, all due to election fraud. And they're saying that this election fraud process has been going on for the last 10 years. So it's already happening in the East. We might see this progress east to west. Let's hope so. But it certainly sets a precedent for what we might start to see coming across to America. Yeah, definitely.
Now, if this happened and it just went straight to Biden first time round, nobody's ever heard of it, it won't be reasonable to it will be quite reasonable to assume that there could be riots. But now that they're setting a precedent and they're starting this in the East, people are becoming familiar with this criminality that's going on. Then when it goes round to Biden, then it will be more familiar to people, which will decrease the probabilities of having riots and other things like that. Then it will be more accepting to the public.
Well, I think now it brings a certain awareness to the public why the need of military control is needed in the United States. So people have observed that, there's been the election fraud, the usual process of going through the judicial system has failed.
Mm-hmm.
So the only way forward now is the military. And if Trump was to be in power now and he brought forward the military rule, I think people would see Trump as a dictator. So it's very good for Trump that he's stepped aside and he's allowed this to come to surface. And remember, I said to you, I think Trump wants the people to be begging for military rule. They're going to be begging for the military to come in and take away this commie traitor, which is Joe Biden. And I think I can see that happening already. The comments on Twitter with regards to what's happening in Myanmar is, let's hope this happens in America. And for that to happen, for people to say, let's hope this happens, let's hope the military come in and do a military coup on our corrupt government, then, that's what Trump needs. He needs the support of the people to bring justice and to bring law and order back into the country. Well, there's one thing I'd like to draw attention to, which is something that we've all been waiting for, is when Trump is going to take over the media. And within the executive order, it does stress that if you're involved in the cover-up of election fraud, then you would be sanctioned under this executive order. So the fact that, how blatant the cover-up for this election fraud was from day one, they never ever accepted that Trump was anywhere near a winner. They were practically saying Biden was a winner before the elections, even before the election count started. So this makes them a target under this executive order, and this will give him full powers to take control over the media and over social media, because they've been censoring all the court hearings and all the election fraud evidence. So the censorship of the election fraud evidence and covering up the Biden's fraud in this they're definitely complicit. So this could be his angle to take over mainstream media and social media.
Wow. So they're all involved. They're all, the people are not aware of how corrupt they are, because obviously, like you said, mainstream media are completely hiding the fact, which now they're also interfering into the elections, despite that a majority of the companies of mainstream media are owned by the CCP as well, which is again foreign interference.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah.
But they've been so blatant in the cover up of this election.
Thank you, Tara, for explaining that. That was amazing. It just gives so much hope, clarity. And again, we've stuck to the facts because it says it all in the executive order, which I will leave a link below in the description for you guys to open up and read, as Tara was reading too. But Tara, is there anything else that you would like to say to the listeners before we leave this?
No, I haven't got anything else. I just hope now February is going to be a good month and we will start to see some results.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much, Tara. And everyone, I just want to let you know that I've got Gene Decode. So look for that later on today and we'll speak very soon. Take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.